One of the most infamous mountain passes in the United States is Cajon Pass. This is the area where it's not only hard to climb up, but also hard to roll down without going too fast. It was also the site of a tragedy of not one, not two, but 3 runaway trains. This is the story of the first one, where it all began. In the early morning, May 12, 1989, Southern Pacific 7551 was about to make toward the grade. It was loaded with 69 hoppers loading Cajon, which is a source of sodium carbonate, which most likely sometimes used in fertilizer. It was hauled by 6 locomotives, 4 leaders and 2 helpers. In the front is Southern Pacific 8278, Southern Pacific 7551, and Southern Pacific 7549, and along with Southern Pacific 9340. And at the helper end is Union Pacific 8217 and Union Pacific 7443. They call up the crew with 33-year-old engineer Frank Holland, 35-year-old conductor Everett Crown, which both are in the lead unit, 43-year-old brakeman Alan Reese, who is in the third unit, 42-year-old engineer Lawrence Hill, and 57-year-old brakeman Robert Waterbury, who were both at the helper unit. They were departing at Mojave Yard early in the morning to West Colton Terminal. When they get there, they'll take it down to South America. Before they go, they tested the air brakes and nothing is wrong. The brakes are perfectly fine. So now at 7 a.m. they're heading towards the grade. Meanwhile, Frank Holland is using the dynamic brakes to slow the train down, with the speed limit of it is 29 miles per hour. And plus, the tracks on the path goes 56 times, so the friction helps slow the train down. But still, they apply the air brakes to make for safety measures at 25 miles per hour. Which is the exact speed that Holland wants it because it's super safe. But later something odd happened. It would then later creep you a little faster to 30 miles per hour, which is slightly speeding. But then it got faster to 35, 40, 50, even 65. At that point they tried to throw it to emergency, which kinda works, but the train was too fast to try to stop. Meanwhile, the tracks are beginning to burn and the train going over to 90 miles per hour. At that point, the engineer wasn't controlling the train anymore because of the speed of the train hijacked the controls. They call ahead to West Colton Terminal to warn them about how speed the train is going. But Frank remembers that there's a bunch of houses in San Bernardino right on the side of the curve. It was there when they lost all hope. Both of the trees derailed, crashing into the houses like nothing. The hoppers also fell off, spilling Cajon all over the area. The area looks like that a sandstorm has already crashed nearby. The people were surprised and terrified at the full disaster. They even noticed that the pool wasn't stand a chance against the train. The driver of the train lightly crawled out of the locomotive, but it was badly injured with cracked ribs inside. 4 people died in the full burial of the full train wreck that caused to wreck their home, or once one of it. A few hours after the wreckage, some people are saying of what might have caused it. But before someone can answer, there's still terrible stuff to come. What the people didn't know, of course, is that there's an underground gas pipeline underground near San Bernardino. Gladly, the locomotive didn't crack it, however, but while they're trying to clean up the whole wreckage, including the spilled Cajon, someone accidentally spilled gases in the gas line. And when they did that, all fiery hell broke loose. Flumes of fire spread across San Bernardino, causing more damage to the houses along with the locomotives as well. This was basically more of a fire than it was from the Cajon train wreck of 1996, as well as the gigantic train wreck. The fire lasted for 7 hours and finally got put out. 4 people were dead from the train crash and 2 people are dead from the fire. They're causing a total of 6 deaths. The full property damage is $14.3 million. I mean, most of this comes from the fire and not from the train wreck, so that's kind of ridiculous. With locomotive 7551, it's likely completely dead but its own air brakes. 7549 have traction current but no dynamic brake current. 9340 had dynamics that are somehow wacky but had limited power. 8217 on the helper end also have no dynamics. The only 2 locomotives that have dynamics that are fully working, and that is 8278 at the front and 7433 have full functioning dynamic brakes. Although dispatch didn't know. With the full weight of the locomotives and some of them not having dynamic brakes, it would have been possible to slow the trains down from the grid. The locomotives 8278, 7551, 7549, and 9340 were all damaged beyond repair and destroyed. All of the scrap parts were sold for scrap. The other 2 locomotives did derail, but they were still operable. 8217 was sold to Proficient National and for leasing, then resold and was put back into service. 7443 was rebuilt by the Southern Pacific before retiring on March 17th of 2000 and was rebuilt for the MRS train lineups, renumbered as 5313. All the 69 hoppers were destroyed and scrapped on site after the wreckage. The FRA stated that the mandate of dynamic brakes only used when the train braked to emergency stop. Now that the mandate says that all dynamic brakes must remain functional. It's been 32 years since this crash, and locomotives featuring dynamic brakes still occur, especially on El Cajon Pass. The more frustrating part is that I still need to cover 2 more I need to cover, one in December and one in February. The one in December, the 1994 Cajon Pass train wreck, and in February is the 1996 Cajon Pass train wreck. I'll probably make these later on, but next month, I'm soon gonna upload a video that will shock YouTube forever. Stay tuned for more.